And then I want to thank Jeff, and I want to thank TCYFL, and I would say this: you have set a gold standard. As someone that, excuse me one second, as someone that gets around the different places, you've really set a gold standard here, nationally. So I applaud it. And then finally, I'd say this to each and every one of you, individually and personally. I don't think there's a more important citizen in this country than you as coaches. You have this unparalleled platform, power, and position to bring about not only the healthy development of boys in the manhood, but also to bring about change in this society. So I'm honored to be with you, and I hope you get that for a moment. And let's just do this. You've been sitting for a while. Here's what I'd like you to do. Just stand. I'm going to give each one of you 60 seconds. And I want you to tell the person next to you your purpose as a coach. Why do you coach in 60 seconds? And then I'll flip it over for you. Go ahead, stand. Your purpose as a coach. All right, flip it over to the other person. All right, thank you. Go ahead, grab a seat. I'm gonna honor the time that we have here, but I think it is imperative that every coach has a clear and compelling statement about the difference you're going to make in the life of your player. That's the beginning of the whole coaching program, and I'll show you that. So I wrote this book because, sports has this incredible opportunity to not only change individuals, but communities and society. And people ask me about why sports. Think about the role that sports plays in America, in Chicago, in your own life. Sports will engage more individuals, more families, more communities in a shared activity than any cultural activity, organization, or religion in this society. It has become the secular religion of America, and you are the high priest of that religion. The numbers are staggering in this society. And when you think about the role that sports has played in terms of social change, millions of immigrants came into this country. They were integrated into the American system through sports. When you think of the role of human rights and civil rights and women's rights, boy, you think of the athletes that have been at the forefront of it. Boy, there is an incredible amount of power to bring about change in this society. You think of Jackie Robinson integrating baseball, integrating America. You think of the Olympics, the role of human rights. Nelson Mandela, not only did he was sports used to break up apartheid in South Africa, but he used sports to reconcile that nation as well. And I think whenever you come to these things, you ought to have some kind of understanding of what you're going to walk away with. Now to me, and when I write in the book, there's two kinds of coaches. There are transactional coaches and there are transformational coaches. Transactional coaches work on some quid pro quo. If that player meets your needs, your expectations, then you'll meet that player's need. You'll give them playing time, praise, some kind of quality. Boy, the other coach is a transformational coach. Transformational understand that their goal and their intent is to change the arc of every player's life. You have this incredible platform to do that. So how you bring about change is you ought to start with discontent at the beginning of every season. You think about what's missing in your program. What is it that you want to change? What do you want to improve? Then you figure out what is your vision for an ideal coaching program. What does a transformational coach look like? Then you've got to figure out the first step. What are you going to implement, the changes you're going to make, and all of those things have to be greater than resistance. And to me, the change from transactional to transformational, most of those barriers all reside within ourselves. It's seldom in the league, it's in the rules or in the officials. It starts from the inside and works its way out. So I think there are 5 questions that every coach needs to answer. And this is the formation of the book. The first question is this: why do you coach? Boy, you think about the time, the energy, the sacrifices, that you make of yourselves, of your families, of your own children. Why do you coach? Is it about you or is it about your players? Second question is this: why do you coach the way that you do? When you think about how you structure practices, how you interact and speak with your players, the parents, other coaches, why do you do it that way? Or is it because you studied best practices, you want to transform lives, or are you just merely repeating how you were coached? I think all of us, when we were children, our parents said something to us, and we thought, my goodness, when I become a parent, I'll never say that to my kids. And then you have your own children, and what comes out of your mouth? Those exact same words. Many of us as players were put in positions by coaches that wasn't comfortable for us, wasn't positive, kind of hurt or shamed us, and yet we have this tendency to repeat it. Third question is this: what does it feel like to be coached by you? You think of the pressure your players are under. I don't think it's ever been more difficult to be a youth in America than it is today. All of these messages, these conflicting messages, 24/7. You talk about young kids that get up every morning, they grab something to eat, they matriculate to school, they have to go from class to class, subject to subject. They've got all their own social, emotional development, they've got sexual pressure, peer pressure, parental pressure, they've got all this performance pressure, and then they walk out onto the field with you. What does that feel like for some child to have you as your coach? Fourth question is this: is your coaching worth imitating? Because here's the reality: you're the high priest of the secular religion of America. Every child's coming and they're watching you. They're hanging on every word you say to them, what you say to their teammates. They're watching how you talk to other coaches and about other coaches. And there's a good chance when your players become parents and take their kids out on some kind of little league program, they're going to coach in the way that you were coached. You coach them. Is your coaching worth imitating? Then the last question is this: how do you define and measure success as a youth league coach? What is that definition? How do you define and how will you measure that? Boy, I think it's imperative that every coach answers these questions with great integrity. And I think they ought to roll out the top of your head. Now, what I did in the book is I took every coach that I ever played for, and I played for coaches from the ages of 10 to 36. And I created a graph, and I graded every coach that I ever played for. Were they transformational in my life, or were they transactional? Did they take my own woundedness, my own pain, my own difficulty as a youth, and did they help change that, add to it, or did they just merely utilize that for themselves? So I graded all of these coaches, and all of us got to have some kind of coherent narrative. We've got to make sense as adults the roles that coaches played in our own lives, and how sports help to formulate your own self-concept, your own internal understanding of who and what you are. Because when you understand your own narrative, your own story, it gives your players the capacity to attach to you. And once a player's attached and relate to you, boy, that's when you start transforming their life. So let me just go through this kind of for you. Here's what my whole coaching program looks like. I think everything ought to be developed, your whole coaching philosophy, based on why you coach. What is your purpose? You have to take your purpose and then you have to define what are the highest values you hold as a coach. When you take a value and put it into action, into relationship with your players, that becomes a virtue. That then is a moral character trait. It's a character trait of moral excellence. Or to have values and just verbalize them and never integrate them is absolutely valueless. Then you've got to figure out what are the principles that are going to guide your own coaching philosophy, and then it ought to be displayed. It ought to be displayed in your coaching, on the sidelines, and in the life of your players. So let me talk about developing the purpose. Now I think this. I think everyone in this league, fundamentally, whatever your purpose is, part of it is to help boys become men. Boy, that's at the bottom line. That means you have to have some kind of authentic concept of masculinity. So when I started coaching, I built it on my purpose. And Nietzsche said that if you have a why, you can deal with any how. So I started with what my purpose statement was as a coach. I coach to help boys become men of empathy and integrity who will lead, be responsible, and change the world for good. That was my fundamental foundation. Every drill, every game, every speech, every interaction has to point back to your purpose. What is your purpose? So in order to help boys become men, you've got to have some understanding of how you define masculinity. You think of the tremendous number of boys in this society that have no concept of masculinity. You think of the tremendous number of men sitting here. If I asked you what was the definition that guided your own masculine soul, there would be tremendous confusion. So here's what I want you to think about. Every one of you and every one of your players came into the world with a keyboard hanging around their necks. And that keyboard is wired into the most powerful computer in the world, the human brain. And as little babies, we walk through this world and we got all these messages typed on our keyboards that went into our brains that formulated our concept of who and what we are. So all of us have two natures. We have this first nature that we inherit. That's our basic body type and size, our hair color, eye color, skin color. All of that was DNA directed. You had no say over that whatsoever. Every other thought that you have about yourself, every thought that your players have about who and what they are, they've acquired. That's come from outside of them. That's all the accumulation of the messages typed on that keyboard. And it was built on your race, on your gender, it was built on the neighborhood you came from. You got all kinds of messages. So when you take the messages that come from this culture, and when I talk about culture, I'm talking the messages that come from the movies, the media, the magazines, Madison Ave 24/7. Then we also got all these messages from the way that we were nurtured. From our parents, from siblings, from peers, from coaches and other adults that had power and authority over us. That then formulated our self-concept. Every thought you have about how lovable, unlovable, how worthy, unworthy, how competent, incompetent, every thought you have about yourself, you've acquired from other people. You think about your role as a coach. Every day a kid comes to practice, you get to type some kind of positive message about the inherent value, the worth, the potential of that child. And it ought not be built on athletic performance. Boy, you're not coaching players, you're coaching young boys into manhood. And here's the truth in life. You will move toward and become that which you believe about yourself. Based on the messages that you receive, based on your life experience, you're either going to move toward opportunities or away from them. You're either going to move toward positive relationships or away from them. You will move toward and become that which you believe about yourself. What you believe about yourself doesn't necessarily have to be true. You just have to believe that it is. So if you want to change players' behaviors, what you have to do is change their fundamental core beliefs. I'm not going to take time here. There's the three scariest words that every man receives in their lifetime. And I'd like every man in this audience to think about when you were told to be a man when you were young. And think about the context of when people told you that. It was always in the context of stop acting out. Stop with those tears, stop with those emotions. Don't be a sissy, some kind of mama's boy. And when boys in America are taught by this culture that in order to be a man, you've got to separate your heart from your head. Somehow they have feelings, they have emotions, to show them, to share them. Somehow boys are taught that that's a sign of masculine value. You think about the pressure that young boys are under in this society. When you tell a boy to be a man, there are all kinds of manifestations of that in this culture. And I think every coach needs to have some clear and compelling definition to help guide these boys into manhood. You think of the